150 years ago in America, the only path for young, pretty girls was to attend endless balls and marry a wealthy suitor. But there was one exception, Jo, the second daughter of the March family. Jo was a thoughtful, talented young woman. Rather than follow the traditional path of marriage and motherhood, the so-called stable life in society's eyes, she dreamed of making her mark through words, like Shakespeare. She wanted her name, Jo March, to endure for centuries, not to be forgotten in the dust of history or simply called someone's wife. For this, she even turned down a proposal from a wealthy young man, Laurie Lawrence. But in those days, opportunities for girls to earn a living were scarce, especially in male-dominated fields like writing. Jo had lost track of how many times she'd raced through the streets, knocking on publishers' doors and meeting editors. The moment they learned the creator was a girl, their attitudes turned arrogant, often trashing her work as worthless and refusing to publish it. As survival grew tougher, Jo realized she had to adapt, change her approach and make compromises to survive in the city and ease her mother's burden. So at the last newspaper office, facing an editor's haughty attitude and her work butchered beyond recognition, she gritted her teeth and accepted revisions that betrayed her vision. Finally, she got paid $20, way below market rate. But Jo was thrilled. It was her first paycheck for writing. When she rushed back to her rented apartment, a letter from her mom awaited, begging her to come home. Beth, her youngest sister, was seriously ill. Jo packed up and headed home at once. Walking familiar streets, memories surged like a tide into the girl's mind. Once so bright, warm, joyful, and lively, now she was alone, dragging bags through the snow. She pushed open the old wooden door that linked her dreams to home. Her mom and sister Meg rushed to hug her, just like old times. It felt like nothing had changed. But when she entered the bedroom and saw Beth, weak and fading, in the bed, Jo's heart broke. Flashbacks hit again. Once, they'd all been passionate, vibrant girls with big dreams.
I wish I had heaps of money and plenty of servants so I never had to work again.
Well, you could be a proper actress. I can't be an actress.
I have lots of wishes, but my favorite one is to be an artist in Paris.
What about your music queen, Bess, huh? I only do that for us.
The four sisters talked freely about their dreams. The youngest, Beth, hoped the war would end soon and their family would be together again. Beth was the best of them. She was quiet but loved playing piano. Shy but incredibly kind, giving up her Christmas breakfast and blankets to poorer neighbors and their kids. But fate was cruel, hitting this kind-hearted girl with suffering. One morning, Beth fell sick with scarlet fever after delivering food to neighbors as usual. Shortly after getting home, her temperature spiked, and she slipped into a coma. Thanks to the doctor's care and her sister's vigilance, Beth regained consciousness. But she never got better. The fevers had weakened her heart. Even a slight cold could knock her down. Jo looked at the sickly girl in bed, her heart breaking.
So good to see your face. We're going to the sea to get you strong and well.
The sea?
Jo took her to the beach. They sat on the sand together, one reading softly from a book, the other listening quietly with her head bowed. Such a tender scene, but why did it feel so bleak? Jo tried to ignore the gloomy weather, but her mind kept wandering to the past. The four sisters had once been invited to vacation on this very beach. Back then, Beth was healthy, the sun shone bright, and golden light warmed them all. They'd raced and played on the sand, their laughter echoing over the vast ocean. You could almost still hear it, if you listened. Now, only Jo and the ailing Beth were left on that beach. And soon, even Beth would be gone.
And I'm not afraid.
No.
It's like the tide going out. It goes out slowly, but it can't be stopped. I'll stop it. I've stopped it before.
No matter how good a writer Jo was, how good at rewriting endings, she was powerless against fate. Beth died, taken in the bloom of youth. After the funeral, Jo silently packed Beth's things, locking away every item that still smelled of her in an old wooden chest. Locked away too were the happy days of their childhood. In the attic filled with memories, Jo was trapped in a cage of nostalgia, reality and memory tangled together, the beauty of the past and the cruelty of the present tormenting the poor girl. Jo felt utterly alone. Would she choose the same again, leaving home to chase her dream in New York? Her mom ached seeing her depressed daughter. She didn't want Joe stuck in the past. She wanted her to go back to New York and keep chasing her dreams. But Joe regretted it. She wished she could be like the girls in books, happy to give up the world, so everything would be easy.
Perhaps I was too quick in turning him down. Laurie, if he asked me again, I think I would say yes.
But do you love him?
I just feel I'm so lonely.
The road to success alone was tough and lonely, a pain most people couldn't bear. Beth's death made Joe's pain 100 times worse. She felt like she couldn't take it anymore. She wavered, even knowing it was a mistake. Joe wrote a letter to Laurie and stuffed it into the old mailbox in the woods they'd once used, hoping to win back his love. Desperate to feel loved, the memory of their first meeting sharpened in her mind.
Joe. Joe.